Welcome to lesson 6 of the Tantric Taste. Today we're going to do our first pink Tantra sexual practice. So now that your auric field is clean and you have removed any energetic cords from the past, at least like the most, the strongest one, it's time to begin pulling up your sexual energy. So this is going to be a very short video, very easy practice. And what you want to do is this is going to be done before bed as well. I like most of these tantric practices to be done before bedtime because right as you sleep, you get to integrate in your astral body. So what you want to do is before bed, make sure that you do your nyasa and your mantra. So if you did it in the morning that day, then do it again, but then do it at nighttime. I like before I do all of my, tantric practices to always tone the body just with that Vija of Tripura Sundari, which will be clean. You want to do it as much as you feel. And I suggest that you do that until you find the pleasure in the vibration. Because there is a point, like at first you just feel, like you're just saying something, but eventually there's this pleasurable sensation to listening the sound and also like to saying it. So it's almost like you give yourself that pleasure through your voice. After this practice, your mantra and nyasa practice are done, you want to set up an altar for Tripura Sundari because this will be the first time that we're intentionally bringing her energy into sexual practice. Make sure that you keep the altar. I personally, every time that I do these types of practices, I always have an altar, but you don't have to have an altar every time. It's more of a preference, but definitely for this time being the first time, make sure that you make your little altar as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. And you're going to set the room for a sexual encounter. So make sure that you put nice music, that, there's like nice fabrics around, that there's like plushy blankets, whatever, whatever lights you up. Because this clean Vija and Tripura Sundari works with the energy of like activating the sensorial experience, I also like to incorporate smells into the environment. So either burning incense or essential oils or wearing perfume. Make sure that that part of your senses is activated because this is a very powerful sense that we have with these practices. And you might want to also play with the lights. So I personally don't think this practice should be done in complete darkness because it is important for you to get comfortable and observe your body as you're doing this. Setting is one of the most important things. So once everything feels that is at the level of a goddess, right? Like it's like, oh my God, I just had a crazy deja vu right now. See, this is all meant to happen. So once you like feel that the space is, it's playing the part, then you're going to start the practice. And what you want to do is basically you're going to stimulate your yoni and you're going to get yourself to the edge without releasing. So there's like multiple things that can happen here. Number one, you can tell me, I cannot achieve orgasm on my own. Well, in that case, you're going to play with the sensorial experience. This is not a practice that it's like, it's like 10 minutes. You need time for this. This is like your first time with yourself under this light, under this context. So make sure that there's plenty of spaciousness. If you're not the type of woman that can take yourself to that place on your own, then you're just going to like allow yourself to feel as much as you can. And the key here is not to go hard, but to go very soft. The way that you touch yourself must be very, very soft. The way that you're touching your body must be soft, because if you're unable to reach orgasm, it's most likely because there is a part that you are unable to feel. An orgasm is like the explosion of all feelings. It's like feeling the good and the bad all at once, and that is that release of pleasure. So if there is a lot of emotional repression, there might also be an inability to do that climax. Remember that in this practice, this is not about climaxing, because the climax is almost like the container popped, right? Like you like exploded. And before you explode, you want to make sure that you inflate, and there's so much space. And one of the Mahaviryas is Bhuvaneshwari. So she is the one that works with that internal space. But we'll stay with Tripura Sundari for this, because it is desire and it is the energy of like the sensorial experience and sensuality. Bring in things that bring that pleasure. And if you don't have a problem with that, right, and you like to self-pleasure, then what you're gonna do is you're going to slowly take yourself to the edge, but do not release. When you get to the edge, what you're going to do is you're going to contract your yoni, and you're going to imagine that there's a straw that's connected from your yoni to your crown. And you're going to pull from the straw, from the yoni into the crown. Whenever you visualize the energy getting to the crown, what you're going to do is that you're trying to look into your third eye. So basically, it's like rolling your eyes to the back of your head, because I'm pulling them here. So do not release, stop the stimulation, but then squeeze and pull the energy, and then hold, and then breathe out. Give yourself some spaciousness, and then do it again. You're going to stimulate right before you reach climax, remove, and then keep pulling that energy. Do it as much as you want. Do it at the very least, do it 3 times at the very least, but you can do this as much as possible. Things to note: if you start getting like aggravated, like frustrated or angry, then stop the practice and then just do some deep breath, because right after this practice, you're gonna go to bed. And you might say, well, how am I gonna go to bed after I do that if there's like all of this energy? And that's very easy. You're going to simply focus on your breath and close your eyes. And if you have to count 1,000 sheep, then count 1,000 sheep, but you will be able to sleep. The part of you that won't let you sleep is the mind. And usually the mind gets very activated whenever there is sexual stimulation, and it can get activated through maybe giving you lustful fantasies of, well, maybe this person is doing this thing, and that's where the discipline comes in, where you are bringing your awareness back into the body. Don't allow yourself to get lost in the mental thing, but if you do, pay very close attention to what are the things that come up. Also notice if there is like feelings of impatience coming, or if there's like feelings of joy and excitement, or like you start manically laughing, because all of these things are possible releases that can happen with this practice. How often can you do this? It depends on the amount of heat that is generated. If for some reason you get too activated during this process and you find yourself that you're kind of like running in a very lustful energy, you're going to change your niyasa, and you're going to replace klim with vam. That's V-A-M. Vam. That's going to cool off your energetic centers. It's still going to help you, with the energy, but it's almost like, because klim is such a sensorial, seductive, beautifying vija, that it kind of has like that element, that like heated element to it. So if there's too much heat that's generated because maybe you have a very high sexual libido, you can cool it off with vam. And once you feel like the lustful energy has eased a little bit, then you can return to klim. These are all things to notice. The most important thing about this is for you to explore yourself. How do you respond? Does the practice bore you? Do you feel impatient? Does it trigger anger? Does it trigger, sadness? Or is there a sense of relief? All of these are possibilities whenever we do this practice. But whatever comes up from this is going to give you a lot of information about what is your sexual energy moving whenever you do the practice of pulling it up. The pulling of the straw shouldn't be forceful. The only reason why I'm asking you to kind of like pull up your yoni, contract your yoni, is to help you bring your awareness there. And like, you don't need it because this is an energetic movement. Although I find that it helps a lot. Also, whenever we're pulling the energy into the crown, whenever we're rolling the eyes back, it's almost like the energy is being triggered here. There is a reason why, sometimes even when a woman is having an orgasm, there's that natural tendency for the eyes to roll to the back of the head, because there is that lifting of the energy. But because we are not releasing, we're not having an orgasm, we're simply like edging and playing with the energy, this is going to create like that spiritual connection, the spiritual release without dropping. Think of the orgasm as like popping the balloon. What this practice is doing is expanding the balloon. And then you say, well, how much can you expand before it pops? Well, if you heat up the balloon and it's made of a material that is infinitely, like you can infinitely stretch, it's gonna keep growing and growing. And that space that you're creating, that's the internal space for creation, for manifestation, for your capacity to feel emotions. So this is like the gift of Tantra. It's like your inner universe begins expanding with this practice. Let's say that you actually one day cannot hold it and you release. That's totally fine. Then you start over again. The whole point here is to observe what happens whenever you're edging and allow yourself to train your body to do that movement, to pull the energy from the root into the crown. This is actually from Kriya Yoga. So in Kriya Yoga practices, you're not stimulating sexually anything, but it's a breathwork exercise, and the Kriya is for men. I mean, women can do it too, but I'm saying like usually whenever you look at like the ancient texts, it's like this practice is assigned for men. And what they do is like they're meditating and then they're doing that same thing that you're doing, except that you're stimulating your sexual energy. So let me know what you think of this practice and how does it feel, what feelings came up. I'll also give you the instructions on the workbook. And remember that this is best to be done at nighttime before you go to sleep. All right, so have fun tonight, enjoy yourself, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.